The Game Boy of the future, the Analogue Pocket, now has a release window alongside of a bunch of new information about the system, including pricing, so we definitely need to go over all that. And finally, a Kickstarter for a spiritual successor to Sukidin has hit the platform, and people are thinking that they hinted at a Nintendo Switch successor. But what's the real story behind this Nintendo Switch 2 rumor? What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So of course, one of the biggest dedicated handhelds of all time is the Nintendo Game Boy, which released in North America in 1989. And for a lot of people, this was their first introduction into handheld gaming. I was one of those people. I got my Game Boy with Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins for getting a good report card, and I definitely have very fond memories of it. Of course, the Game Boy lineup of systems continued on to the Game Boy Advance lineup, and then the Nintendo DS came out, and supposedly the DS wasn't going to mess with the Game Boy, but of course it did. And of course, the Game Boy hasn't been seen since. But a new Game Boy coming to us from Analogue is coming out in 2021 now, and a lot of people have had eyes on this system because it looks absolutely fantastic. If you know anything about Analogue systems, you would know that they are high quality, high-end retro gaming systems that allow you to play your games on things like HD televisions and look as good as humanly possible with these televisions. Well, the Analogue Pocket is looking to do that now with handheld gaming, including the Game Boy lineup of systems. So this morning, everyone thought that Analogue was actually going to start doing pre-orders for the Analogue Pocket, but they evidently didn't. This was an announcement to announce the pre-order, so some people are a bit upset by this, and you know, I could see it being a bit frustrating. Now, Analogue is starting pre-orders on this system very soon. They will open up on August 3rd at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the Analogue Pocket will be a pricey premium system, much like the other Analogue systems, but this will be a bit cheaper than those. The Analogue Pocket is going to launch at $199.99, so roughly $200, and it will actually have an optional dock, which is one of the cool features about the Analogue Pocket. It allows you to basically do something like a Nintendo Switch would, where you can dock the system and then play the system on your HD television. Now, the dock is an additional cost. It will be $99, so I'm not quite sure how many people will actually end up picking up a dock. I know personally I will, because I like playing Game Boy games on the big screen, and considering how good this system looks, I think it'll definitely be worth that $99. Now, the release window for the Analogue Pocket is now May 2021. A lot of people expected this system to actually come out in 2020, but of course, real world situations really put a damper on a lot of manufacturing things, and it seems like the Analogue Pocket was a victim of this circumstance. Now, as far as the tech specs for the Analogue Pocket, you're getting a 3.5-inch 665 ppi LCD display, and it's actually made out of Gorilla Glass, so that means it'll be very, very durable. The battery has about an estimated 6 hours of playtime, and of course, right out of the box, the system has support for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games, and it has a built-in synthesizer as well should you want to make some chiptune style music. Now, just like every other Analogue system, this is not an emulation system. It is an FPGA system, meaning that it's not emulation, it is hardware based. The system also offers a sleep mode where you can put your game into sleep mode, sort of similar to the Nintendo Switch, and they're saying that in sleep mode, the system can stay into that mode for about 10 hours. There's going to be Bluetooth controller support as well when you're playing in docked mode for up to 4 players. There's a micro SD card slot, USB-C charging, and of course, mappable buttons, which is pretty standard on a lot of these newer systems that are coming out. Now, the cool thing about the Analogue Pocket is it isn't necessarily just designated to just Game Boy games. Of course, out of the box, it will play your Game Boy Color, and your Game Boy Advance games. But if you like other handheld systems from that time frame, you can actually buy adapters and play these cartridges on this system. There's going to be adapters for the Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket Color, and the Atari Lynx, which I honestly think is really cool. I have a drawer full of Game Gear games right now, and really, I don't have a great way to play them. I could play them on my Game Gear, but the screen is entirely washed out. I don't feel like getting it recapped or anything like that, or getting a screen replacement. So to be able to buy a cartridge adapter and play all these Game Gear games is absolutely fantastic. The Game Gear has a really solid library of games that a lot of people just seem to forget about because they look at games like, you know, Sonic games, and they're like, oh, well, you know, they're not quite as good as the Genesis counterparts, but there's still a ton of great Game Gear games, and collecting for the Game Gear is really cheap. As far as systems like the Atari Lynx and the Neo Geo Pocket Color are concerned, I never really got into those systems, so this is yet another great way to sort of get into those systems. As far as what I think about the system itself, I think the Analogue Pocket looks absolutely fantastic. I love the finish of it. I think it just looks great. The screen clarity on it looks absolutely amazing. I am interested to see how the dock function on it works though, because a lot of these systems, when you connect them to your HD television, like the Neo Geo Mini, you know, you get that Vaseline smear. You're not getting that high clarity that you're getting on the actual unit itself. So considering this is analog, I'm sure that they are taking their time with this system and ensuring that you're getting a quality experience when playing it on your television. I do think the price of entry is going to be pretty expensive for a lot of people, considering that you can get modded Game Boys for less than this, but I think the versatility of the system definitely makes it very attractive. They actually moved some of the buttons that were on the upper part of the system to the lower part of the system, such as start and select, and I think it looks a hell of a lot cleaner. I definitely will be picking this up because I'm really interested in this system and I want to review it for you guys. But let me know in the comments section down below what you think of the Analogue Pocket. Will this be your Game Boy of the future? Are you looking forward to checking this out? Do you plan on picking it up, or is it a little too rich for your taste and you would just do things like either buy a modded Game Boy or, well, just even emulate stuff? Because yeah, that's a thing too. And finally, Sukidin, or Suikoden, however you want to say it. I say Sukidin, and that's how I'm going to say it in this video. So please, you know, I'm just a random gaijin guy. Don't get angry at me for saying the game wrong. I've been saying that since the dawn of time. But Sukidin is, of course, a very popular RPG franchise. It originally sort of came around during the PlayStation 1 era. So many entries released in the series, and people seem to really enjoy the series. Of course, this is a Konami franchise, which means that there hasn't been a new Sukidin game in a very long time, but it seems like people still have a lot of nostalgia for Sukidin. But I have to question it, because did you play this game? Did you play the DS Sukidin game? I don't think you did, because a lot of people don't even know that this Sukidin game came out on the Nintendo DS. But all that aside, of course, Sukidin will probably never see a new entry in the franchise because it is a Konami game. So what do? You make a spiritual successor to Sukidin. Right now on Kickstarter, a brand new game called Suikoden Chronicle, I hope I'm saying that somewhat correctly, Suikoden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is a spiritual successor to Sukidin, is available on the platform to crowdfund this game. Honestly, it looks pretty cool. It has many team members from the previous Sukidin games coming back to work on this game. It has 2D sprites in a 3D world. It kind of looks a bit like Octopath, but honestly, I think this looks better than Octopath Traveler. I just think this game looks really, really good. It has that standard turn-based combat system. It definitely looks and feels like an original Sukidin title, so if you're a fan of the Sukidin games, you're probably really excited for this. But what the hell does this have to do with the Nintendo Switch successor? Why would people be talking about a Nintendo Switch successor when you're talking about this game? Isn't this game coming to the Nintendo Switch? Well, that's where things get very interesting for a lot of people, when they start to talk about the platforms that this game is actually targeting. So when it comes to the platforms that Suikoden Chronicle 100 Heroes is coming to, they say the following. For this campaign, the launch timing will likely put us right in the middle of a console transition period, meaning that some people will own next-gen consoles and some will not. This is less than ideal when trying to run a Kickstarter campaign that you want to cater to the maximum number of people. We need to determine a single quality baseline for the game. Currently, we are offering Suikoden on the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, and Nintendo's next generation console. So right then and there, people just stopped reading and they absolutely started losing their minds. Nintendo's next generation console? What do these developers know? Do they have a dev kit for this system? Obviously, they must know some specs about it if they're trying to target something like the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and saying that this game will run easily on the Nintendo Switch successor, the next generation Nintendo console. So a lot of people are absolutely losing their minds about this on Twitter. And I'm like, okay, did you not read the rest of it? Because if you read the rest of it, everything becomes very clear what they are saying with this. They are in no way, shape, or form saying they know anything about a next generation Nintendo console. Obviously, Nintendo is going to follow up the Nintendo Switch with a next generation console. We've sort of alluded to it and hinted at it at other points on the channel. But as far as something concrete, like, there is nothing concrete. Going on, and they say the following. The elephant in the room is that while nobody knows what Nintendo's plans are for when this game releases, in just about every major Japanese crowdfunding campaign, when a lower spec hardware has been listed on the campaign, it has variably been too expensive, oftentimes requiring downgraded textures, massive amounts of code rewrites, effectively meaning building two games. So again, in keeping with 100% transparency for what is an incredibly difficult problem, if the console stretch goal is cleared, we will create a version for Nintendo hardware. Hopefully that will be something akin to a Switch 2, allowing for similar quality and gameplay experience across all platforms. In the end, if no such console is announced by the time we need to create console version branches, we will go through the major challenges of the aforementioned texture change and code rewrites, or refund any backers who pledge to the platform if there's absolutely no solution. So basically what they are trying to do here is just cover their ass, because what ends up happening with a lot of Kickstarter projects is they don't end up coming to the desired platforms that they were initially announced for because of things like timing, game delays. You know, you never know what's quite going on. Look at how many Wii U games were kickstarted and then never came to the Wii U. They were either moved to other platforms or the Wii U was just forgotten about. They are basically trying to foolproof this to the fact that, you know, if a Nintendo Switch 2 is out by the time this game is coming out, then yes, they could put the game on there easily, but if not, they will have to refund people's money or look into putting something like this game on the Nintendo Switch. They are in no way, shape, or form saying that there is a Nintendo Switch 2 worth talking about, that they have a development kit for it, that there's any sort of rhyme or reason or speculation to be talking about. Yet so many people on the internet are running with this story in just the completely opposite direction. They're saying, Nintendo Switch 2, it's confirmed, and this game developer knows about it. And you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we got to keep things real on this channel. And in keeping it real, this is just simply saying that yes, they are hoping for a Nintendo Switch 2 with similar capabilities of the consoles that are available on the marketplace right now and the consoles coming out in the future, so that it would be easy to port this game over to them. They are in no way, shape, or form saying they have a dev kit for it or anything, so you definitely got to keep your expectations in line with this. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but like I said, we got to keep it real on this channel. Now, the interesting thing is, this game has already exceeded stretch goals in just, you know, a matter of few hours being on Kickstarter, so this will definitely be coming out on the consoles. So Sukidin fans are very excited, but I just kind of got a question, like, after Mighty Number 9, Bloodstained, Shenmue, Wonderful 101, aren't you just kind of tired of Kickstarters? Because I know I am. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know in the comments section down below if you plan on picking up an Analogue Pocket, and of course, what you think about people just going crazy about a Nintendo Switch 2 when there's really no reason to be going crazy about it. And we'll be backing the spiritual successor to Sukidin or Suikoden. I don't know. I just will always say Sukidin because that's how I've said it since I was a kid. And as always, folks, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.